welcome back to the African Regional Conference 2015. I'm joined now by Mina Baliamoune-Lutz, who is from the University of North Florida's African Center for Economic Transformation. Mina, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, James.
Now, Mina, you were talking earlier today at the conference, looking at some of the bigger picture issues around Africa's economic development, and you were arguing that, in fact, many African countries have very good macroeconomic frameworks in place. Many of the policies are very strong, but what's really lacking in the bigger picture is both hard and soft infrastructure developments. Can you talk us through this point more and what it means for Africa as a whole?
Yes. Well, we noticed that contrary to years ago, where whenever the World Bank or the IMF or anybody watching observing African economies, they would pick on the fact that the macroeconomics were really bad. We don't have that anymore. In most countries, things are really good in terms of the macro policies. We do have, however, observed, and we make this point very clear in the African Center for Economic Transformation's 2014 report, which is titled the Africa Transformation Report. We make this point clear. While there is significant growth in Africa, I mean, nobody can deny that Africa on average has been growing quite fast. We don't see the type of structural transformation, what we call economic transformation, which is, we define it as growth with depth. So you have growth on the one hand, but you have lots of structural transformation taking place. We don't see the transformation taking place. And so that kind of is of a concern to us. And we went deeper, and we now know that there is, among other things, there is the fact that in many countries, infrastructure, both of the soft type and the hard or physical type, is lacking. And that's something that many African governments have to tackle.
So moving forward then, in terms of addressing some of these issues, you've also sort of argued that what needs to happen is perhaps greater standardization of sort of human capital and that kind of thing.
That is actually related to regional integration. When people talk about regional integration in Africa, they usually just refer to trade, not taking place with the same extent that regional trade in Asia, for example, is taking place. But it's not just a matter of trade. If you look at the European Union, it goes beyond that. We want to be able to see both goods and people moving, so mobility of goods and people and capital as well. And for that to happen, we need some kind of, if not pure standardization, at least some rapprochement of the educational system, so that somebody who is trained in educational system in Burundi, for example, can be able to work, can go and work in Ethiopia or in Kenya or within the eastern region, and same thing for other regions. So that will, in my view, enhance the mobility of people. And so when there is something that's going on with the skill demand in one's country, he or she can go to where there is demand, stronger demand for those skills.
So if we were to meet again 12 months from now, you would obviously highlight the infrastructure issues which we discussed, but also this human capital aspect too, as perhaps the two priorities for the continent moving forward.
These, and I would add to this something that we at the African Center for Economic Transformation are focused on right now, is agriculture. There is a tendency to think of the quickest avenue for development, if you want, as manufacturing, but that does not need to be the case, at least not the manufacturing type that people have in mind. We can come up with manufacturing that is related directly to agriculture, agro-processing, for example. So 12 months down the road, if I could see movement in that area, it would be great, but specifically something that targets medium-sized farmers. We have a case of missing middle in farming. We have a large number of very small, tiny farmers, and then we have a few very big, large commercial farming, but we don't have the medium-sized commercial farming, which would link nicely to agro-processing and other light manufacturing. So that would be a very nice thing to see. And then the second thing is to see that young people are interested in agriculture. When you talk to young people today in Africa and you tell them, why can't you be a farmer? They're like, I don't want to live in the rural areas. So why should that not happen, especially with the crises now that we see in urban areas, you know, when, again, infrastructural problems because of the increase or the kind of rapid increase in urbanization in many parts of Africa. So that will really be a nice thing to see. And of course, inclusiveness also is not just about youth, but also women, as women tend to be overrepresented in agriculture in many parts of the continent.
Well, Mina, I look forward to seeing you in 12 months' time, and we'll have an update on progress. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.